Welcome to the Legionary. Today we're going to be looking at the Scutum, the iconic Roman shield. So this particular item has been around since the late Republic to mid to late Empire, so that's about 100 BC to 400 AD. The shield is rectangular and semi-cylindrical in shape. It's iconic, why? Because it was around for such a long period, but also because it's visible on Roman monuments and obviously in pop culture. Any movie where you see the Romans, you automatically see this particular style of shield. The Romans, however, didn't just have the Scutum in this shape as we know it. They had other forms and other shapes. So they had diamond-shaped, lozenge-shaped, and even square and circular shields, such as this one. Each shield was adapted to a particular style of fighting, whether you were cavalry or infantry. It's most likely that the Romans settled on this style of shield because of the style of combat that they favoured, which was large groups of men fighting in tight formations. So how is this shield put together? Well, it's unsurprisingly made of wood, fabric, leather, and a lot of glue. We can look at the sources that tell us, the literary sources of the time that tell us more about the components of the Scutum. So if I reach over here and take my book, Roman Shields by Hilary and John Travis, which I thoroughly recommend you buy. What do we have? Pliny the Elder. He described the best types of wood to use in the construction of shields. And he says the most flexible and consequently the most suitable for making shields are those in which an incision draws together at once and closes up its own wound, and which consequently is more obstinate in allowing steel to penetrate. Then he goes on to specify which types of wood are the best to be used, which is everything from willow, plane wood, alder even, elm, ash, mulberry and cherry. So there's a variety of different woods that can be used, which are all are flexible, interestingly. So whilst he cites a variety of different woods, the one thing that they all have in common, whether they're hardwoods or softwoods, is that they're all flexible. Polybius is another good source. He talks about the shield being formed from at least 2 layers of wood laid in alternate directions. So he's talking about plywood, and the facing is fabric followed by skin. So do we know that they then had cloth laid over it and then a layer of leather on top of that. This is for the shields that he would have observed. Plutarch describes the use of metal binding along the edges, as we can see here. So bronze edging along the shields, or even leather, which can be stitched on. So this is rawhide leather stitched to the edge of the shield. Who else do we have? Polybius, he describes the shape of the longer legionary form. So the shape of the longer legionary form, as does Cassius Dio in the 3rd century AD, of semi-cylindrical shields being hollowed and channel-like. Ammianus Marcellinus describes convex-shaped shields being used as floats to cross water. So these were light enough to be to actually float in water, and also waterproof to a degree. Ammianus also describes a convention of decorating shields with devices being used to identify the troop units. So that's an added plus. But there you go. So thanks to these sources, we know about the components of the shields, or how the shields are put together, and what they're made out of. So I'll just put this back. So a good thing to note about the writers is that these writers were all contemporary. So that means that they were witness to what they were writing about. They lived in that period, so they would have seen soldiers carrying these shields, and in some cases, in the case of Ammianus, actually served in the military and would have used the shields. So that gives us a lot more confidence in what they've written. It's not been written by someone several hundred years later.